Toni Stone is playing now through June 16th at the Huntington Theater. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with this ensemble cast and getting to shed a light on the Negro League team, the Indianapolis Clowns?
Well, this cast is phenomenal. I think the writer and director of the show, Lydia R. Diamond, did an amazing job casting this show. Everyone is very, very super talented because not only are we actors, but we move in the show, so almost like we're dancers. But I don't know if anyone is technically a dancer, but maybe one other of the actors actually dances predominantly more so than acting. But just all the different, movement things that we do on stage and infuse it along with the acting, I think is just phenomenal, actually, and I feel appreciative to be a part of it. As far as the Negro Leagues, I had I knew of the Negro Leagues, and of course, and some knowledge about them, and the Indianapolis Clowns. Having Toni Stone on the team in the later years, I think she came in 1953. I didn't know that until I read the show. I didn't know they had female players in the Negro Leagues, and it was 3 of them. And Toni was the first, so she was groundbreaking, becoming a female player in a male-dominated, league, and then also to inspire the other 2 young ladies that came on as well behind her, who came after. So I mean, that just is like, it just was huge when I found that out, and just fascinated me about her and just how she navigated that, in 1953, but it's been really, really fun.
Awesome. And while we're on it, can you, as much as you can you tell us a little bit about the story that we're watching unfold in Toni Stone?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think for the production, once again, Lydia, she researched, read about her, and put pretty much her life down into a play, because everything that's written is true. That you're going to be watching in the theater, and to see Toni, grow up in a family, a black family who did well. Her mother and father, and the mother really wasn't so keen on her playing baseball, but she was so talented. She was, in every sport, track and field, skating, but she loved baseball. And she just kept pursuing, until she did it. And just to see her life unfold with just traveling with the team, meeting her soulmate, because they end up getting together and marrying one another, and they stayed together for 30 years. I think, or before, the death of her husband. They remained married the whole time.
Right. And speaking of that soulmate of Toni Stone, you actually play that character, Aurelius Alberga.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the work that you did embodying him, especially after learning that this was actually your first performance back as an actor in 10 years?
Yeah. I started having other interests. I became a college professor, so I'm an assistant professor of theater, assistant professor of scene study and acting at Emerson College now. And prior to that, I was at 2 other universities, and I started directing, so I got into that. But being that I am an acting teacher and a director, to embody Aurelius Alberga, what I did was, first of all, the script is your Bible. You read the script, right? Then once we started doing the other research, far as different pictures of him, different things that was said about him, different write-ups or what have you that we had of, and then to learn that he was half Jamaican, and I said, And Lydia was like, oh, you don't have to have an accent or anything. But I said, you know what? I think it'd be good to just add certain words to show that he is from the Caribbean, right? That he's from the Caribbean, excuse me. And so that's how I just approached it. And also, for me, my process too was to get more and more fascinated about Toni. The more I got fascinated about Toni, the more I allowed her to draw me in, the more I fell in love with her and wanted to actually be, you know, the man in her life. You know, so that was kind of my process, to kind of really, really watch, stay on partner, even when I'm not on set with her or not on, you know, in scene with her, to really listen to her journey,
right,
and listen to her story, because within the show she's narrating her story from being a young girl playing, you know, wanting to play baseball, all the way to, you know, being on the Indianapolis Clowns. So I'm listening the whole time and getting more intrigued, because some of those stories she is sharing with Alberga. Yeah.
Excellent. And I learned there was quite an age gap between the two of them. I mean, I have to be real, I have to talk about it. He was 103 when he passed away, and he met her much later in his life.
Yes, yes.
What do you find most interesting about...
Because she was, I think, 33 and he was 68,
yeah,
I think when they met. Yeah.
Well, what did you find most interesting about their relationship, and what do you believe that they saw in each other?
I think what they saw in each other is some element of stability, some element of a person that completed them with that stability. Like I don't know. I think that's what I saw as an actor looking at it. Like, and what was intriguing about Toni, or maybe what she felt intriguing about Aurelius Alberga. You know, he was a successful man, and I think he believed in her. You know, he believed in her, and I feel like she believed in him.
And, you know, right now we're starting to see a lot more conversation around women in sports, from Simone Biles to Caitlin Clark. Why do you feel it's important to tell Toni Stone's story now? Well,
I think it's important because Toni was a trailblazer, you know, and Toni, without the Toni Stones, we wouldn't be here, to the Simone Biles, to Caitlin Clark, and so on and so on. You need those first. You need those trailblazers. You need those, the Billie Jean Kings. You need the, you know, the list goes on and on of different female identifying athletes that, you know, kick the door in.
What do you hope that people take away from this production?
I hope they have fun, you know, and I hope that they want to learn more about the Negro Leagues and more about Toni Stone, or the other the other two young ladies who played in the Negro Leagues. You know, I hope they want to frequent, you know, theater if this is their first time coming to see a show, or one of the first times. I hope it inspires them to see even more shows, you know, and more Black theater. You know, Black theater is important. Here in Boston, definitely, but other places as well. I mean, Black theater is always hanging on by a thread. So it's always good to support and show that there is a market and there is a audience for Black theater and for Black stories, you know. So that's what I hope they walk away with. But fun, a good night of theater, and also even elements. I always want theater to be thought-provoking. You know, I always want people to walk away thinking about, you know, maybe even relationships and race relationships and everything else. You know, that because in the Negro Leagues they had to, you know, deal with that, and it's ongoing. It's just different microaggressions that may happen now, comparatively to then, when it was, you know, very, very upfront and in your face. You know.